Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything from Star Wars to Superman and everything in between. My name is Aidan, and I hope that you're doing well today. This is Season 3, Episode 11, and in this episode we are going to be discussing my favorite story for each Doctor in Doctor Who. So, I recently finished rewatching the show from the first Doctor, played by the late great William Hartnell, up until the 13th Doctor, played by the great Jodie Whittaker. And I have not yet seen, at the time of recording, the 60th anniversary nor the latest season. However, I do intend to watch those. I did just want to watch the first of 13th Doctors because originally, if you did not know, the Doctor was only supposed to have 13 lives, but then it got extended because the writers and producers wanted to keep the show going for obvious purposes. So, in this little breakdown, I want to give you the name of the episode and the brief gist of why I enjoy it, and then move on to the next one. So, my favorite story for the first Doctor is the Daleks, which was the second story of the first season. Now, the reason why I chose this and not something in the later seasons is because this being the second ever story, it is getting into the flow of how the show will be from this point going forward, but it also, as mentioned in the title, introduces the Daleks. So this is an iconic piece of television history. And for that reason alone, not to mention that it's just a really enjoyable story, I decided that the Daleks would be my favorite. Then, for the second Doctor, my favorite story is the fifth season story, The Enemy of the World, which is the fourth story of that season. Now, it was a toss-up between this and the season 4 finale, the Evil of the Daleks, excuse me. But the reason why I went with The Enemy of the World is purely based on Patrick Troughton's performance as the second Doctor and everyone else's performance in the episodes, because it is just a really cool story with great writing and great characters, and the actors do a phenomenal job in their roles. And that's why I love it so much. And then for the third Doctor, my favorite story is The Daemons, which is the fifth story of the 8th season. The reason why I chose this is because it shows the darker side of the Doctor Who universe, and it is very atmospheric, and once again, the reasons prevailing throughout this list will be that the actors all give phenomenal performances, so I'm just going to stop that here. And The Daemons is just a really, really fun episode. It's multiple episodes, but I condense it into one, but it's just a really fun episode. Then for the fourth Doctor, my favorite story is Pyramids of Mars, which is the third story of the 13th season. This is one of the earliest episodes I had seen, and it really impacted me because of just everything about it is magnificent, really. It's really hard to quantify without giving spoilers for these episodes, so I want to avoid that so that you can go and see it for yourself. And Pyramids of Mars is just one of those iconic pieces of visual storytelling that you can just see and say, that was epic. Then, this is a bit of a controversial take, but my favorite fifth Doctor story is Time Flight, which is the 7th story of the 19th season. And a lot of people whom I have talked with and whom I've interacted with online don't necessarily enjoy this, although there are a bunch of people who do like this story, myself included. Mainly, again, because it's just really cool to see all of these characters talking and interacting, and I just really like the story. I mean, not much else to say. Then, for the Sixth Doctor, my favorite story is The Mark of the Rani, which is the third story of the 22nd season. And, yeah, I mean, it is a bit weak, but I do find enjoyment in it because of just the overarching plot and, the writing, because I really like the character interactions. Then for the Seventh Doctor, we have Remembrance of the Daleks, which is the first story of the 25th season. And this is one of those iconic Doctor Who stories, and his dynamic, the Seventh Doctor's dynamic with Ace, is just really fun to explore. And I just really like the story. Then, for the Eighth Doctor, my favorite story is An Earthly Child, which is the fourth season, from the fourth season of the Eighth Doctor Adventures on Big Finish, and it's the 11th story of the season. And the reason why I chose this is for many reasons, again, not really going into spoilers, but we see the Doctor interacting with a long-lost loved one, and the monster is a cool monster, and I just really like this story. And I haven't listened to all of the audiobooks, however, this was the first one I heard, and it really impacted me. Then for the Ninth Doctor, we have Dalek, which is from Season 27, Episode number 6. The reason why I chose this is because it really shows the darker side of the Ninth Doctor without really dehumanizing him. Even though, obviously, the character is an alien, he's very much human in his personality and his mannerisms, and the fact that he looks like a normal man. But it shows the Doctor's humanity, but it also shows his wrath and his anger, and I just really like it. Then for the 10th Doctor, my favorite story is a three-parter. It is, the first part is called Utopia, the second part is called The Sound of Drums, and the third part is called The Last of the Time Lords. These are from Season 29, Episodes 11, 12, and 13. It's the three-part finale. And we see the return of many, two characters that are beloved, and I just really think that it is a well-written story, and the actors, again, as per usual, do great jobs. And again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here without, giving too much away, so I'll just leave it here and say that it is one of the best finales of a Doctor Who season. Then for the 11th Doctor, we have Season 31, Episode 10, Vincent and the Doctor. This is one of the most highly regarded episodes in the entire series, and well-deservedly so in my personal opinion. And if you would like to know why, please go and watch the episode, and that way you won't have it spoiled. But the final scene in particular is why I decided to put this as my favorite episode of the 11th Doctor. Then, for the 12th Doctor, we have a two-parter, which is The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, which is Season 35, Episodes 1 and 2. This, again, sees some character returns, and it calls back to a 4th Doctor story called Genesis of the Daleks. This isn't really spoiling anything, but the genesis of the Daleks and its connection with this is very powerful. Stephen Moffat, who was the head writer for the 11th and 12th Doctors, who wrote this opening to the season, did such a good job with calling back to previous episodes, and this is one of those times. And he also expanded the lore in his way, which I do go back and forth between when I say that, I like his changes or I don't like his changes, but I enjoy his writing, so I will be a bit more lenient. So I just really like this season premiere, and again, trying not to spoil it for you. I'm going to stop saying that now because you're probably getting annoyed with me. But moving on to the final part of this, we have the 13th Doctor, and my favorite episode on her discography or run is season 38, episodes 1 and 2, Spyfall. And again, strong season opener, which sees the return of a classic villain, and I just really enjoyed Jodie Whittaker's performance as the Doctor in this, in these two episodes in particular. And that's not to dismiss her performances in the previous season or throughout the rest of this season and the next season, but she was really getting into her own at this point, because this was the beginning of her second season, and she had 3 seasons. So at this point, she understood the job and was like, okay, now I'm a bit more confident in the role, and let's have fun with this. And we definitely did. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, is my favorite story for each Doctor in Doctor Who. And once again, my name is Aidan, so thank you very much for listening to this episode of my podcast, the National Timely Action Hour podcast. And on YouTube.com, I have my YouTube channel, the National Timely Action Hour, where I review comic books, TV shows, movies related to that genre, as well as video games. And I'll have links to my social media profiles and all that in my YouTube videos, so I don't have to bog down the runtime on here with telling you the exact website address. But thank you very much for listening, and if you are new to my podcast and would like more episodes like this, or if you want to get more episodes about, say, the video game Fallout, I'm happy to talk about that. So please subscribe and send me a message saying, hey, this is what you should talk about in the next episode, and I will definitely fulfill your request. So thank you once again for listening. Love you all. Have a wonderful day or evening, whatever time it is for you. Bye.